Hello, everybody. It's two chaps, many cultures, and I hope you can all hear me. I can't hear you, Brett.
Why did I turn it? I didn't even. Yes, I said global people. Welcome.
Global people. Lovely. Welcome, global community.
Here we are. Imperfection, not hitting the unmute button when I thought it happened automatically. But yeah, this is.
And I just want to say something. Yes, the music that we chose for our intro and outro, there's some connection. Those of you who watched that one episode with Sepalot, you will remember there's a personal connection. Now, I hear it play every time we come on. And it has become for me kind of like an auditory anchor that puts me in a great mood.
Yes.
I liked the song before. That's why we chose it. However, now it's taken on a life of its own. So now when those few chords and those beats drop, I know, okay, it's game time. It's Brett and Christian time. Let's do it. Let's ship the work, brother.
Let's ship the work. Let's get into the show. Yes, if you've seen the artwork masterfully done by our hundreds of interns that work at the Two Chaps Many Cultures high rise. They put together the wonderful artwork that we do. You would have noticed that we've called this episode. We brought this episode through the lens of: do we wait until things are perfect, or do we put our stuff out there even when we're not absolutely sure it's perfect? And of course, I mentioned in the intro of the post that Seth Godin is somebody that is a marketing guru in the world. He's done many things, but I think one of his consistent messages is that when you're not sure that everything is perfect, still ship the work, as Christian just says, right? And that's a theme that we don't always practice. I certainly don't always practice. I'm guilty as anybody of not pulling the trigger on things, waiting for them to be perfect. But I guess one of the reasons we're still here live today is that the graces of my wonderful partner here, who's had a day, I would say. So do you want to lead through what you have actually done today? Probably, besides just sitting around, putting your feet up.
Yeah. Well, I've had a day. I'm highly favored and blessed, and when people say I had a day, I take a deep breath, hopefully with them, and I let them vent. And it's okay. It sounds like you still have the brain capacity and the physical capacity to vent all of that which you didn't like of your day. You're still alive, you're still breathing, you're still looking at the sun, and you're still looking at me as you're telling me all your terrible stories, so it can't be that bad. So I've had a day. Sure, it was a day with lots of talking into a camera, and actually talking into two cameras and not knowing which one to turn my head to. I'm not as experienced in being in front of a camera yet, and I am learning to do so on a daily basis. Thank you very much, Brett. So today was a shooting day at the Two Chaps Many Cultures high rise, and we had lots of equipment. If you were able to peek behind that screen that I'm talking into right now, you'd see all the studio equipment that we compiled back there. That's why this looks different than it usually does. So a lot of changes. So this was a great day. My voice might be a little rash, and I might have developed some cotton mouth in the meantime. That's all good. So it was a great day. It is still a great day. How was your day, Brett?
Oh, mine was fantastic. Not as busy as yours, but I think that when we had the discussion and you were telling me about what you had, my first thought was, the care of my buddy. And, like I said, what happens? What would be so bad if we didn't actually ship it? And you stopped me in my tracks and said, you know what? Let's not set that precedent. Let's just come on. Let's think of something to chat about. And I think that brought to mind. And then, of course, there was this live stream yesterday from Seth himself, with a wonderful guest, Sarah Jones, who's a wonderful character, and he was just saying how inspired he was by her example of shipping the work, just putting herself out there in a way that was vulnerable and not perfect all the time, right? And it's still not perfect. And as experienced as she is in doing it, she's got a TED talk on this. She still has those pangs of discomfort when she's putting her work out there, and I think we all suffer from that. And or maybe not suffer is the word. I don't like to use the word suffer.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider it suffering. However, it's a self-imposed limitation. Right. We've learned over the course of the years as we grow up. When you may have heard a phrase along the lines of "dance like nobody's watching" or "play like a 3-year-old child," and this childlike innocence that we come pre-installed with, that's our factory setting, right? And we come into this world as innocent young human beings, incomplete, still learning how to walk and figuring things out. However, we play intuitively without inhibitions. We make friends without discerning between what's good or bad, or whether we like the skin color or not, or what religious beliefs their parents may have or may not have. None of this matters to the innocent toddler, to the innocent child. And at some point during our upbringing, the adult world messes it up for us. They place value on behaviors. They tell us this is behavior that is rewarded, and this is behavior that is sanctioned, and this is good and this is bad, and you must like this and you must dislike that. And along the lines, we lose some of that innocence. We lose some of that childlike play. And I'm guilty as charged. I find myself struggling when a 4-year-old runs to me at a friend's house and throws me a ball and asks me to play. I sometimes intuitively check my surroundings. Is anybody watching as I make a fool of myself? And nobody gives a rat's behind anymore, especially when you're a parent. You kind of lose that inhibition. However, we are conditioned to questioning our output. We're conditioned to question our worth to society. We're conditioned to expect rejection because there have been rejections so many times. So chances are there will be another rejection on its way. So that's why people don't ship their work, because they're afraid of judgment. They're afraid of rejection. Isn't that the case?
Yeah, absolutely. And these things can come up. I had a client the other day, actually, in a coaching, and well, it was more a training, but it was just at the end of it. She said, "Oh, I have to run off, and I have to do a presentation in about 30 minutes with my boss in the room, and this was a last minute thing, and we got into just a quick 5-minute discussion about that, and I said, what makes you feel uncomfortable about that? And she said, well, this is a new boss for me. I'm not, I'm new in the country. It's a new boss and all that kind of stuff. And I said, have you considered the fact that your boss really wants you to succeed? And she said, well, I think that would be a given, right? And I said, but have you really considered that? I said, are you afraid of failing, or are you afraid of being so successful that you're going to be given more responsibility? And she said, maybe not so much more responsibility, but the Seth said yesterday, that is sometimes a lot of the things that inhibit us, is that we're afraid of being, and I forget that saying, our fear is that we won't fail. Our fear is we'll be successful. We'll actually be powerful, and we'll actually succeed. And I said, no, I would assume that the people in your room, you're new in this country, you're vulnerable. They know your skills, they know your abilities. They want you to succeed. And especially in a country like the US, which she had arrived in, I said, the wonderful people in this country, this is a country that is built on risk and failure and working it out. It's still an experiment.
I think I know which quote you're talking about, and I can't recall if you put a knife to my throat, I couldn't tell you the name of the lady. She wrote a book about this, and the quote that I remember is, it's you're playing small doesn't serve the world. So if you're if you're not allowing your unique light to shine, then you're depriving the world of your superpower, of your skill that is unique to you. Nobody is as good at being Brett Parry as Brett Parry. So if Brett chose not to let his light shine, then he would deprive the world of his genius, right? And you all have that genius. And too often, as I said earlier, we're taught, we learn over the course of our upbringing that not everybody likes our genius immediately, and it's easier for other people to put your genius down because it makes them feel better about themselves, which is quite telling of these people who make those judgments. And that teaches us to be careful how much of us we show, how much work we're willing to ship without having foolproofed it. And let me tell you from my experience, I have shipped what I thought was really good work because I triple, quadruple, quintuple checked it, because my risk-averse German kicked in, and I wanted to make sure that there is no kinks in that anymore, that every typo is out there, and then I made sure that my punctuation was right, and it's all well-researched and the footnotes are there. And sure enough, there's always going to be that one person that finds another flaw that 5-10 pairs of eyes missed when they fact checked it. So there is no perfection. Perfection is an illusion. You can strive towards excellence. You can improve your process. You get better as you grow. You're never going to reach a level of perfection, because once you're at that perceived level of perfection, you'll know this. But wait, there's another step up. Okay, so at what point is it going to be perfect? It's never going to be perfect. Ship the freaking work.
Ship the work, people.
Ship the work.
Seth says, don't be selfish. You're being selfish if you don't ship the work. Put it out there. Right. The world deserves to hear from you. That's our message.
We're saying this as much to you as we're saying it to ourselves, because we're both guilty as charged.
Does it sound like we're trying to convince ourselves? Oh, absolutely.
So, I'm curious now. Which work have you recently shipped that you knew was going to be buggy, or you deep down inside you had a feeling about, I'm not sure if this is ready, but send anyway? When's the last time that happened?
Oh, I mean, probably only a week ago. I mean, I love playing around with video production, and I love doing videos. And then I did one the other day, and I thought, well, I actually should re-record that. I should do it, but then again, I haven't got time right now. So, and then I stopped myself in my tracks, and I said, you know what? Nobody's actually going to even look at that mistake. I saw the mistake. I mean, actually, there was a really good discussion today with a good friend of mine, Mitch Jackson. I'm catching your mouth. And I tell you,
it's a thing. People drink more water.
That's right. This was a good discussion about on the pretty much the same topic, and it was basically just a musician saying that when they get on stage, sometimes you're free. This has happened to me as a singer. Sometimes you actually just forget the words to the song, and they said they started to sing the song knowing kind of in their head the sounds that the words are supposed to make, but not knowing the words. So they're blah, 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 blah. Like, I've done that a couple of times.
I sing like that all the time, so that's all right.
But at the end of the day, kind of all of a sudden, it like halfway through the first verse, the words came back and they moved on. Now, of course, your bandmates might look at you, the guitarist might look at you, and I had this look at you, what the hell are you doing? But that is really, at the end of the night, the people that are watching you want you to succeed. They want to listen to the music, and there is a connection there that, quite frankly, they will give you plenty of leeway. And I think the positive thing is that if they do give you the feedback, that you've got that feedback to work with and say, yes, okay, how could I better prepare next time? How could I make it better next time? Knowing that you'll fix that part, but something else will fall off as well. So I think it's fun. I think it's great.
I also want to be cognizant of some of the people that might be watching this who will tell us that, hell no, there's no way that in life I will ever do this, because I will lose face if I let the world see my imperfections. Right. And This our program is called Two Chaps Many Cultures, and I think we both know there are plenty of cultures out there where protecting one's face, one's image to the world is crucial. It is at the core, at the center of their part in society. It's how they are part of a group to which they belong, and if they do something or somebody else does something to jeopardize the position that they have within that group, that their face is literally lost because they've been exposed, that is highly uncomfortable for some people. And shipping the work before it's finished or whatever status that should have may be very difficult for some of you watching this, and you can rightfully accuse us of being culturally ignorant by claiming to just ship the work. And that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is become aware of your default behaviors. Know thyself, right? Find out what it is that drives your behavior. What will be your standard unchecked response, and then look at that and say, does that serve me in this situation? And if it doesn't, for instance, if you notice that you've been procrastinating on shipping the work because you're still trying to make it better, or because you are afraid you might lose face in light of others, then ask yourself, is that serving you? Is that making it any better? Are you getting the results you want? And if you don't get the results you want by continuously doing how you've always done it, then you will continue not getting results by continuing that behavior. So I'm not saying you should change the way your culture tells you to behave. All I'm asking you is to examine, is what you're doing always getting you the results that you want? And if it's not, then it might be worth re-examining some of those behavioral defaults and maybe try something that's a notch to the left or a notch to the right of your default action. And if that's not ship the work right now, then hey, maybe ship it after only 4 quality checks and not 5 or 6 of them. That would still be a different behavior than the one you did up till now, right?
Absolutely. And I guess to bring that full circle, if you're a leader, if you're a global leader and you are in a position where you're inspiring people from other cultures to ship their work to you, right? You're asking for information from them, and they seem to be reticent or resistant to doing so. Then you need to be cognizant of that, respectful of it, of course, and then in a very caring way is to invite them and give them the grace to just kind of come up with a solution. That's how do they communicate that to you? How can they tell you when they're uncomfortable with just putting something out that they don't feel is really up to par? And if you're quite comfortable with having something that's kind of half-baked, then that's fine, and you're willing to work with them, then you need to communicate that back the other way. So I think that's a great point. Just building on what you've said as well, what your great point was really valid. Yeah.
But to sum it up, I think we both come from this quote unquote Western or Anglo-Saxon context of, hey, just do it. You might be familiar with an athletic apparel manufacturer that is based on the U.S. West Coast, and they have a name that is the same name as of a Greek goddess. So that's all the clues that I'm going to give you. And their claim, their marketing slogan, if you will, has been for 3 decades now a 3-letter sentence: just do it. So I'm not saying that this is the best way forward, but this is a very Anglo-Saxon, very North American way of approaching work. And when Seth Godin says ship the work, then it's also a 3-letter impulse to just do it. And at least I would encourage you to try that once or twice, even though it goes against every grain in your being, if it goes against every fiber of behaviors that are comfortable and known and familiar to you. Give that a chance, maybe once or twice, and see what the results might be. and see what changes. And if you like what changed, keep doing it. If you didn't like what changed, stop doing it. It's not a law. It's not a cross-cultural order that anyone is giving you. Just try it on for a different size of change.
We're not sending the cultural police after you.
No. Is there such a thing? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. No, there's not. Well, that's it. What do you say? Is that comments?
Yes, please. Comments, and also social media. Yeah, follow us. That's why we have that scroll bar. So you see Instagram here, and now there's Facebook and there's LinkedIn. You just type in the names as they appear on your screen here. And there's Twitter somewhere as well. Hey, we might be pale, stale, and male. However, we still are somewhat with the times, right? We're streaming live and we have social media accounts. Wow, I'm impressing myself just saying that. So go follow us. Go subscribe to our YouTube channels, if you will. Now would be an excellent time to do that. As you're watching this, there's a subscribe button. Just make use of it, because we'll just flood you with good stuff every day. How about that? We're just going to ship the work to you.
Well shipped. Hey? Well shipped.
All right. There's a comment. I want to. Who comments here? Oh, Chris Cartwright, from the very city where that Just Do It company is sitting, I think.
That's right.
All right, Chris Cartwright. He signs it off with C2. I didn't know that. This is cool, C2. I don't have a name like that. I can't do that.
Yes.
That's cool. I like that comment, C2. And thanks for watching. All right.
Chris is one of those guys that is too cool for school, but he is at school and really does ship the work. Chris ships the work. I'm telling you, they're one of the hardest guys I know, hardest working guys I know, in support of the learning community. It's amazing. Anybody find Chris Cartwright. Follow him too.
Thank you, Sir Chris.
Sir Chris. Sir Chris.
All right, my friend. Let's be patient with each other. And remember, Two Chaps, Many Cultures coming your way every day. Maybe not every day at the same time. So you got to watch out for this stuff. That's why the social media channels will help you find it. All right?
Set a reminder. Set a reminder on the channels, and it will ping you to when we go live. All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye.
Ciao for now.